Hello and welcome to Scott's Odyssey. I decided to make a video and delve into a different side of Pennsylvania's most popular claim to fame. Full of ghost stories and sightings going back to the early 1600s, and that doesn't even include what the native stories talk about. Pennsylvania is one of the most haunted and full of ghost states in the United States of America, which today brings us to a site where there was ample horror, traumatic death, and a significant amount of circumstantial data surrounding such phenomenon. The not so normal as to be somewhat paranormal site of the main Circus train wreck and Baughman Cemetery area. See you in a minute. Welcome back. If you've watched my videos before, thank you for your patronage. And if you're new to Scott's Odyssey, welcome aboard. I'm out here with fellow creator Bud from the channel Raptor PA and paranormal enthusiast John. And we're here at the site marker for one of my personally favorite videos, the Circus train wreck of the Walter L. Main Circus. Just a short distance up the road, you'll find the famously haunted Baughman Cemetery, as well as a cemetery considered one of the most haunted locations in the United States. Now, before we go any further, let me make sure you're fully aware that not only do I believe in science over ghost and paranormal activities, but I'm a fully accredited scientist in multiple fields. That means I have a lot of time, effort, examination, and investigation into different sciences. One of them heavily focused in the field of physics. But although I am coming out of the gate with what seems like an automatic prejudice against the colloquial concept of ghosts and ghouls, I really have no rhyme or reason to have a confirmation bias. So it doesn't mean that I do not believe that there's viable answers to why so many people truly think they have seen, heard, or experienced something that is, at least to them, out of the normal, unexplainable, and perceived as paranormal. More importantly, I come into this with the attitude of, I want to believe. If you don't already know about the Walter L. Main Circus train wreck, I do implore that you follow the link in the description or in the top right corner and go watch that video before continuing on with this one. That way you have an idea of things we may reference in this video. As for the Baughman Cemetery, I'll give you the history of the haunt, so you don't just feel we're in a cemetery looking for ghosts that apparently they followed their bodies to the grave instead of hanging around wherever they expired, which is one of those things that really bothers my brain when I think about it. I mean, if something was traumatic enough for you to leave some remnant of your form behind in this life, why would you follow the carcass all the way to the grave? If that were the case, then why wouldn't you also be likely that there's a lot of ghosts at funeral homes as well? What if there was a moratorium or legal establishment to delay the interment? Why wouldn't the ghost hang out at the county morgue? Or even within the transport vehicle that moved the body around to multiple locations? There are several alleged stories to the Baughman Cemetery, and quite honestly, none of them line up with any piece of history in this area. But let's dip into these stories, shall we? According to the alleged professional paranormies out there, it's been reported that someone had hung themselves just a short distance between the 1812 cabin and where the cemetery is today. Others make claim of seeing multiple figures hanging from the trees surrounding the cemetery during the nights with a full moon. Another story is that of a misty person riding upon a white horse that will chase you from the property. The cedar tree in the middle of the cemetery has a perpetual knocking that takes place. When the wind blows nowhere else in the area, the cemetery will still have its own breeze. And lest we forget about the ghost children's giggles as they play hide and go seek amongst the headstones, only leaving their real presence known by the small handprints on your vehicle. And these stories continue to get perpetuated by the local news media in all of its facets, even though the locals keep pleading for it to stop, as well as continue to be told by paranormies in their videos where they will also include the mystical orbs, weird light patterns in the fog, hearing old war music, shifts in temperature, etc., etc. And then there's the traumatic loss of life of at least 6 people, not including the 50 horses, 2 sacred cows, and all the injured animals that had to be put down and mass buried right here in this area. But let's see what our paranormal enthusiast and fellow debunker / want-to-believer and I find in our pseudo-investigation. Then I'll tell you the real history.
Several times, and I've caught numerous EVP and or ghost box responses that relate to that train wreck and the people that were involved with it. Not so much the people that died, but the families that were here that had to deal with the aftermath of the train wreck. All I do is I use a recorder, good quality recorder. I do not believe in the cheap ones. I believe in something Wave 4. You don't have to be at a place at any given time at night. You can do this and collect in the broad daylight.
It was limited to 17 cars with a single engine. And the main circus entourage was 17 cars.
Yeah, you're beautiful. You got very nice coloring, nice hair, nice transition, and you look happy.
Well, nothing exciting happened at the accident, so we relocated up the road a couple of miles to Baughman Cemetery. Now, there's no direct link. Okay. There's no direct link. Okay. Well, we had nothing happening at the wreck site. So we relocated up
I feel that more than you might realize. When you're in the middle of recording and you're trying to say something, you try to get your thought out, there's a lot of times where it just comes out wrong. Okay, we're currently at the cemetery. John's doing EVP work, so I need to be quiet. Let's take a look.
tell you a spot where I brought one of my buddies up here 3 different times, and right around, there's a Woomer stone up there, right up from that Jaeger in the corner. There's a Zimmy over there. Every time he went into that area, he always got lightheaded.
All right.
So I can call her.
I'll let him know.
Anybody want to speak to us? Anybody wish to have anything to say to us? We're here to talk to you. Hear your story. I haven't used this one in so long.
You want to try a spirit box?
I don't have one with me.
Yes, you do.
The young gentleman said that an associate of his, when they would stand in that particular corner, would get lightheaded in the spot behind us on the road.
I picked up something, but I can't make it out. It was like a guttural scenario. I got a feeling this is not going to work. One of those, like I said, fishing.
Yeah.
Guttural. Like, ooh, wah, ah, ah, ah.
What you got? You got an iPhone. I don't know how to use
It's
it.
not an iPhone. Yeah, the app's up.
Who uses iPhone? You don't use an iPhone, do you? I don't want to offend you. But if it's him, I'll offend him.
No, it's definitely not an iPhone. Actually, this isn't even a Samsung.
Lost your dead
this is
cat.
an LG.
I knew that was going to fall off. It always does.
You need to try it down closer towards that tree. Right by the flagpole. That's where, I guess your folklore would say, where you can see little kids running around playing hide and go seek. It would be over there by the tree.
That else to say there's a white horse that comes up by there and a knocking sound from the flagpole too. Besides Jeep, so I know it wasn't her. It was in this area here somewhere, if I remember correctly. It's the small tombstone.
And you were walking over, and
Yeah, I was walking.
and the voice that you captured said, "Stop, can you see me?" That's cool.
I tend to catch female voices. Yeah, they're a horned up ghost.
You're a silver fox. That's what it is. It's okay. We all suffer that problem. Silver fox. Get it? You were before you started.
Well, okay, any more lightheaded than normal. How's that?
That's just
That
a
makes
simple
sense?
oxygen to the brain issue. We're old.
My cousin's mom's brand new Christian spring. Their mom was murdered right in front of
Ah, okay. Yeah, one time I was here with my wife. I was using an Echo Box app. And as she's walking down through the cemetery, I pick up, "Stop the redhead." What is the odds of that? Because my wife was a redhead. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is where I got the stop in the seeing area, in this area here.
And I don't agree with me.
Well, I can see
Well,
what your dad
we
was
have a
saying
little
about
sink.
it collapsing.
Sorry about that, whomever you are, whomever both of you are. Thank you for letting me traverse your terrain.
Where I was born and raised at had a bunch of groundhog holes, so you'd see bones coming up, you know, along the area.
And that's the way it is at the cemetery across from the Elvira bunkers. You actually can see down into the boxes.
Yeah, this is the Friday spot. This is Hiram Friday, the owner of the farm that the train wreck.
Excuse me.
Civil War veteran.
One sneeze. There's an old Irish belief that one sneeze when somebody says something means that they're telling the truth.
Was milking the cow when the tiger attacked.
Disemboweled the cow. At least it went after the cow and not Hannah.
Exactly. Hannah, unfortunately, is not here. She's in her cemetery buried with her husband towards on the opposite side of Talladega Field.
Which is just like 3 or 4 miles down the road from here.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't really establish much of anything one way or another at either of the locations, but a lot of times it's as much about the story as it is about the history.
You're day tripping.
Tripping, dude.
According to fantasy sci-fi author Karen Myers, who owns the farm that surrounds the graves, the history of Baughman Cemetery goes back to a log cabin she lives in that was built by Christian Baughman sometime around 1812 as a requirement to fulfill a land warrant he had along the Allegheny Front in central Pennsylvania. Although I couldn't easily confirm this information, it kind of works because in order to convert a warrant of land to patent of land, making the land ownership, you did have the requirement of improving upon the land, and a cabin would essentially cover that requirement adequately while prepping the property for farming. Yes, I said patent of land and not title because a title of land means you were assigned grant of the land patent and not the right by treaty with government to do so with the land as you see fit. So local, state, and federal laws prevail. In both instances, don't confuse this with a allodial land grant, which is a freehold of land that is beholden to no one, and the rule of possession is 9/10 of the law, such as when Pennsylvania was granted to William Penn. And as such, allodial lands no longer exist within the United States due to laws of eminent domain, and is the primary reason why places like Puerto Rico, Guam, Virgin Islands, Samoa, and the Mariana Islands are most definitely not U.S. states. The Baughman Hollow Farm is stated to have been about 400 acres starting at the head of the hollow aligned toward the southeast. Over time, the farm was divided amongst the children. In 1840, John Baughman, Christian's second son, donated a piece of his ground at the head of the hollow to serve as a cemetery. In 1892, a Dr. Robert Lawrence Piper moved into the area, built a large practice, was an extremely popular citizen, became a member of the Blair County Medical Society, the American Institute of Homeopathy, not to mention the Tyrone Lodge, Free and Accepted Masons, Shriners, Oddfellows, and a Junior Order of American Mechanics. Dr. Piper initiated reassembling the disparate land portions of the farm, and in 1820 sold it to Cosmo Menino. Menino owned and operated a fruit and produce grocery business in Tyrone from 1940 to 1954 called the Cosmo Menino Company. In 1948, his son Anthony took over Cosmo Menino Company and Cosmo created the Cosmo Menino Incorporated, a wholesale fruit company specializing in bananas, and officially renaming Cosmo to the Banana King. It was at this time this area became known as the Menino Estate at just under 300 acres in size. Now, I wish to point out again that this farm is privately owned by author Karen Myers, and that the only piece not owned by the Myers would be the cemetery, and technically the road to the cemetery is most likely also the property of the Myers. So if you decide to come out here for a paranormy thing, check with the Baughman Cemetery Association, who manage the cemetery, and be sure to be courteous to those who actually live around the cemetery, and do not exercise any disrespect to those whom are interned in the cemetery. Just like abandoned sites and historical sites, take nothing but pictures and leave nothing but footsteps. And do it during normal living hours unless you have express permission to do otherwise. As for any findings of this location, well, nobody hung themselves here historically, and I have not caught sight of them yet either. I don't see how night versus day makes a difference to go ghost hunting. Only a difference to people's perception of the dark, fear of the dark, not knowing what they are or are not seeing in the dark, and suffering potential normal auditory pareidolia, or hearing something and their brain making it to be something other than what they heard because it couldn't accurately identify the sound. Any knocking from the cedar tree must have been the heartbeat of the person who was afraid of being in a cemetery at night, or it possibly could be an eastern death watch beetle doing its thing. The breeze, when there is no breeze, is a natural occurrence at the head of a hollow through convection. As for the ghost children, I'm sure you can hear a lot of sounds from all over this valley that get channeled down into the hollow. And Doppler plays interesting tricks on frequency, as shown in this video of the Santa Claus is Coming to Town on a fire engine video in my burrow from a few years back. The handprints, well, you didn't see them during the day because the car didn't have the light dew of a Pennsylvania night in the fall upon it. But I assure you, they were there before you got here. Now, of course, that is all speculation on my part. I'm a paranormal denier because I look for the actual science behind events, because there must be science behind all events in this universe, even if we don't understand it yet. If you would like me to go on more paranormal investigations and see if I can disprove, or even better, prove what is being witnessed, let me know in the comments down below. This goes doubly so for those of you who have been referred to in this video as paranormies. In the end, this area is just a large cemetery with normal and natural things taking place, as is found in most locations throughout Pennsylvania. So, I want to take one opportunity here to thank Bud very, very much for getting John together, and so that we could come out here and actually do this paranormal experiment. Remember to go out and check Bud's channel, Raptor PA. I'll put the link down in the description. I hope you enjoyed this visit to the Baughman Cemetery, the revisits on the Walter L. Main Circus train wreck site, and the excursion into a paranormal investigation. Remember to leave a like on this video and hit that subscribe button for more ODDySEEy stories of Pennsylvania. Now, I will go home and wash off any potential ectoplasm from my body and cast off any demons or spirits that hitch the ride while going through this area. And as always, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
The ghost eye view.
What was that?